and welcome to another video by Are You Arty Kids. Today we're looking at this guy, Keith Haring, and been quite a big fan of Haring's for a number of years, and I thought we'd do some polystyrene printing in this little video. So this is polyprint or polystyrene print tiles, which obviously are a lot softer and easier to carve, I would say, than lino. This is the more modern version of the lino without the hessian back, which is quite soft. But this is quite nice and simple and rudimentary. So polystyrene, you know, the sort of stuff that you would get, I suppose, in packaging. It's very, very soft. Don't need any specialist tools to make marks into it. So basically it works in the same principle as, I suppose, lino and woodcut, in the respect of that you have a relief print. So obviously we've got the polystyrene print surface here, and you would either draw or trace your design onto the surface here, and then what you would do is you would then make your impression. Now that's a very light impression, you can just see, which has formed a little groove that you can see just on the surface, but has not cut the surface. It's not gone all the way through. So I always find when I do these that it's best to start off with quite a light line just to get your design on first. It's easier to draw straight lines than it is curves. It's sort of, it doesn't have a grain in it, obviously, because it's a man-made chemical material, but it does sort of, you know, it is, I find, a little bit, you know, less forgiving with curved lines. So by working quite light, it allows you to get your design quite neat. And then what you need to do is, obviously, you do need to go a little bit deeper. You can sort of hear it as your pencil, your pen, or your sharp object is cutting the surface. So on that line we just saw, you can see now you've actually got a little valley created in there. So I can run that and I can actually feel that. There we go. So you can see that it is below the surface. So obviously when I ink this surface here, the ink is going to stay on the flat, and the ink, if it's nice and clean and deep enough, is not going to go in the little valley. So that would become, in essence, my show through line. So if I was printing onto white paper, that would become my white line. Okay, so the idea is to get a really nice clean line all the way through. It's not the end of the world if you do go through like that. Yeah, so, you know, it's not going to cause you a great problem. It would obviously make your tile very fragile if you do an awful lot, but you can put that masking tape on there and just keep it together. But what you're looking for is not it getting your cut really ragged like this, because that's obviously just going to print. So what I did is looking for some inspiration of something very simple. So I went through my Keith Haring book, looking through some of his motifs and symbols that he's famous for, you know, like his baby. And we've also got, you know, the dogs and the figures, the pastry cutter figures. And these almost a bit Aboriginal, aren't they, in style? So I found an image that I liked, which is, let's just find it in here again. There we go. This image here, which I thought would be quite nice as a single colour print. I freehand drew it, but you could obviously trace that onto tracing paper and then flip that over and then lightly rub your tracing paper onto your tile to make your print. Now, bear in mind, anything that you're flipping over that has text in will obviously flip backwards. So, and then would flip again when you put your print down. So just bear that in mind when you do anything with lettering or numbering in. So I've got my design, and here's my print tile. So you can see I've not gone through. I drew myself a nice 12cm by 12cm box first, and then I lightly drew out my design, and you can see I've got my nice clean lines. I had to simplify the design a little bit because some of these lines in here were getting a little bit too close together and they would just fill in, so I've had to simplify it a little bit. And then once I got my design on, then obviously what I did is just went round and just made sure, and you can just sort of feel it with your fingers. You can sort of feel if the lines are nice and clean. You know, I almost like pull my finger against it, because obviously if they're not clean, the ink's just going to sit on that groove, if they're not deep enough, then you're not going to get a nice clean image. So I've drawn my design on my polyprint. There we go. And then I've got my block printing ink, my little block roller. Now you could use obviously a press if you've got one, a little hand press, but if you haven't got one of those, you can just use the back of your hand, or you could even use a spoon to burnish with, or a clean roller if you have one. And I can't find my other roller at the moment, so I'm going to burnish a little bit, a bit like a brayer, with the back of a spoon. Okay. So, and I also can't find as well, I'm not having a great day, I also can't find my tray to put some ink in, so I'm just going to use this spare piece of lino just to put a little bit of ink in. Now this has settled a little bit since, probably should have given it a good squeeze in the bottle. Yeah, that's quite, so the mixture's separated a little bit, it's quite runny. And what we're going to do is we're going to ink up our tile. Now, if you've ever done things like mono printing, you don't need a lot of ink for that. Whereas if you want a nice clean impression with something like this or lino, you want a pretty rich colour on your print tile. So obviously you lose something in that impression stage. Okay, put that on its back so it's nice and clean, and then I'm just going to move that out of the way. Now I just noticed actually, you can just see there a little bit of fill-in on his leg, probably because say this ink is a little bit watery, so I'm just cleaning that ink out a little bit. That might cause me a problem, I think. Right, first one we're going to do, I'm going to do some bit of white card, and then I'm going to fingertips that over. I should zoom out. There we go. Carefully fingertip it over. Place it in the middle. Try and give it a nice vertical impression. Hold obviously one corner because you don't want it slipping and creating a bit of a double image. Trying to get the corners. You could do this on obviously both sides, but I just want to get this impression there. Picked up ink. And then now I know that's sort of stuck in place. Obviously burnish on this side. Feel the edges. Okay, and then what we'll do, we're going to peel the paper from the tile. Moment of truth. And we've got our print there. Now, it's not the best print in the world. Probably the ink is not fantastic. Would like a slightly better image than that. So I might try a little bit more pressure, or I might try a newer ink maybe. Seems a little bit watery, not as sticky as I would like it. But that's not a bad first impression from our little hand print. And then we'll try maybe onto some coloured paper. What I might do is do do have some other ink, which I think I am going to use. Right, I'm going to try a different ink, which is this stuff here. So, see if this is a bit nicer. See if we get a better transfer using more quality ink, I think. Okay, let's get that out of the way. Get that out of the way. Try onto some yellow paper. Just got away from me. Flip it over. Get some nice impression. This is thinner paper as well. So probably get a nicer image. Okay, let's peel this one away and have a look. There we go. It's a nicer image, isn't it? Much better. That could be a combination of ink and a thinner paper. So I think I might let's try one on red paper. So I'm going to probably have to ink up again. You do use an awful lot of ink. Now, if I had more space, I'd have a wet area, or clean area, and dirty area, or wet and dry. So I wouldn't get all the contamination, like that. But I haven't. So it's okay. Wipe that out of the way. I'll just clean this board up a little bit, so I'm getting a bit messy. Right. Paper down. Flip it over. Press it on the board. Let's turn that over there. Use the spoon. Always try and keep hold of it so you don't slip with the paper. Oh. Okay, let's go for a reveal. That's looking pretty good. Quite a nice print. Right, I think I'll just try one last one. I'll go back to that thick white paper. This stuff here is card. Zoom out. Two more ink up. And this is the thing about mechanical printing, is multiple versions. And if you look after your print tile, you can get a reasonable addition out of it. Now what you could do is, I could have printed lighter colours and created a multiple version print, like a reduction print, by cutting away and building it up. That's another option for you, instead of that single colour. There we go, got a nice bit of ink on there. I think the ink is the thing that's made the difference. Having a bit better quality ink. Soon see when we do the brain on this one. Have less of a sense of it through this paper. It's probably with the advantage of a relief press would come in. I want to be a bit more heavy-handed on this one because I'm just not sure I'll get a sense through the paper how this is looking. Might just give that a, I think I might have got a bit of movement there, which is not good. Yeah, paper's a bit too thick to hand finish, but that's not too bad. I think I'm pleased with the nice thin paper on the red. And the yellow.